The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
And good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel's broadcast of Round 6 of the Lionheart Retro Series. Tonight's race will feature iRacing's classic Lotus 79 on the Magic Mile, where it was planned for Ryan Otis to try to continue his magic after winning 2 of the last 3 races, but alas, he is not here tonight, so who's going to take away the crown? Hello, I'm Adam Young, and with me tonight in the booth is Bill Soups On. In the director's chair, with his feet up, enjoying the cool New England weather, Mr. Joe Peak. And he'll be featuring the wonderful cameras of Dougie Beard. Good evening to you, Bill. Bill, New Hampshire Motor Speedway has featured several classic races in both stock cars and Indy cars over the years. Some more controversial than others, especially if you ask Will Power. What can these drivers expect tonight on the slow-banked one-miler?
Thanks, Adam. It's good to be sitting on the other side of you tonight. Hey, you know, when these retro Lotus 79 race cars were state-of-the-art, New Hampshire Motor Speedway wasn't even a twinkle in the eye of the redeveloper Bob Bayer. It wasn't until 1990 the top-tier auto racing came to New England when the gates opened here at Loudon, New Hampshire. Nicknamed the Magic Mile, perhaps because of the extra 317 feet of racetrack magically included in the mile distance. The track is a classic paperclip design with long straightaways and flat tight turns. I think to be successful here, drivers need to be both. They need to be able to get the car woed up and also to get the power down. And while the Lotus 79 never raced here, this place has seen its fair share of open wheel racing, being the home for kart and IRL for most of the 90s, and then a return for one last IRL event in 2011. NASCAR's been bringing all 3 of its top 3 series here for decades. When GSRC comes here, it gives us a chance to honor the memory of Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin Jr., who both lost their lives 17 years ago in separate practice crashes. To get an idea of what it is like to go around this place in a car sucked to the asphalt thanks to the wonders of late 70s ground effect technology, let's go on board the GSRC Lotus 79.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the classic Lotus 79. So without further ado, here we go. Into 4th gear for the hot lap. This Lotus 79 has a very high range on the gear, so you don't need to shift down into 5th. Down here into turn 1. If you're familiar with driving this track in the NASCAR Cup Series car, you will find that the groove is pretty similar. Down the back stretch, you're going to aim right here, just a little bit of brake to set the nose. Aim for that groove right there below the dark stuff. Roll back into the gas, out of turn 4. Get right up to that fence, don't kiss it. Down the start-finish line once again. Down here into turn 1, aim for that groove below the dark. Roll into the gas, halfway, 3/4, all the way back onto the gas, screaming out of the corner. Full horsepower. Down the back stretch one more time, into turn 3. Hey, you could even get away with, in the early part of the run, just lifting to get it set. Out of the corner, out of turn 4, onto the front stretch, and across the line. And that is going to complete our track guide here around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And as you saw on our GSRC lap guide, it's not going to take you long to get around this track here tonight. And Bill, if I didn't say it, I'm really happy to have you here. And you also mentioned it already. We flip-flop chairs from when we normally sit when we're together. So I guess tonight, it's up to you to tell us a little bit about the series and race format.
I'm enjoying it over here on this side of you. Hey, our sponsor is the sanctioning body. They're the Lionheart Racing League. This is the first season for this retro series. 11 ovals, 7 road courses make up the schedule, but the triple count races at Pocono, Indy, and Fontana are double value, so the point ratio, the ratio of points is like 14-7. It's a nice 2-to-1 oval to road mix there. This is round 6 of 18, and of course the car is the classic Lotus 79 that Mario Andretti raced to a Formula One championship back in '78. Now the setups, they're custom fixed. They work on them. Everyone racing the same setup right now. It's a stable setup, but we think passing might be a little difficult here today. 42 drivers are limited on the roster, and there are some prizes. Yeah, there's $100 in cash. You know, I've had $100 in my hand, well, several times in my life, but what I've never had in my hand is a winner's plaque, and that's what these guys get. So, man, that's more valuable than any $100 bill you can give me. There's also tons of little prizes they give out. Now, how about the weather? This afternoon, the sun filters through a partly cloudy sky that warms the track to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The ambient temperature is 78 degrees, winds 2 miles an hour from the north, and the humidity a comfortable 55%. How was that, Adam? Was that pretty good for weather there? Did I do a pretty good job?
It was passable. It was passable. We'll take it.
All right, let me move on to the oval race details here. Qualifying, they haven't started that yet. 2-lap lone qualifying. Now, here's something interesting. The race is 143 laps. That's 150 miles, calculating in the extra 317 feet per orbit. These cars have huge fuel cells, so the fuel is limited to 28%. That means we're going to have 2 stops today. We think a max fuel stint is going to be about 55 laps. I don't expect there to be much tire fall off. In fact, I think the cars are actually going to be faster on lighter fuel and old tires. Incident cap, it's the same as always. 8x, you lose 3 points. 12x, you're DQ'd, and you lose 5 points. Fast repairs, this is big boy racing in the Lionheart Racing Series. You break it, you bought it. That's the way we like it at Global Sim Racing Channels. Cautions, yes, there'll be full course cautions. I don't think we're going to see many, but if we do, the restarts will be single file. And the points, we said this is not a Triple Crown event, so it's standard racing points. Adam?
Yeah, and of course, Soup mentioning that he's seen a $100 bill a couple times in his life. He probably has seen more than I have. Lucky dog. All right, so hey, let's go and talk about the championship here. And of course, Ryan Otis has just been on a tear. He missed the second race of the season, but unfortunately, he's going to miss tonight as well. But here's his finishes so far this year: 5th, 1st, 2nd, and 1st. And that is why, after only with 4 races on the book, compared to everybody else's 5, he's at the top of the leaderboard. But they do get 2 drops in this series, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Jake Wright, of course, he was the early points leader this season. He's having to recover after a late race accident at Pocono. He did a pretty good job of that last race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, coming home in 2nd to Ryan Otis. So he's going to be looking to try to continue to get that momentum back and get back up to that points lead here for tonight. Robert Mikes and my fellow newsman, Jason Galvan, both won races so far this year, and they're sitting 3rd and 4th in the points, and Tony Schuin. Now, Tony Schuin, he's sitting 5th. He actually lost a position in the points, but one thing he is on the leaderboard of is the most laps completed so far this season. So look for him to still be on the consistent side of things. All right, so team championship now. Of course, we got one of those on the line as well. You're looking at No Name Racing up there at the top. Right alongside them is Adrenaline Motorsports, about 23 points behind, which, of course, you know, with the team championship, that can swing in a direction, any race here. So still pretty close there. AGR Racing sitting in 3rd. Dragonfly and Controlled Chaos running out 4th and 5th. Now, the series does issue bonus points for winning the pole, leading a lap, leading the most laps, and the big one for a lot of these guys, running an incident-free race. And Bill, last race, Ryan Otis showed us once again why he's probably going to be the king of the road courses this season, but he is admittedly a little weaker on the ovals, but of course that's not going to be a factor here for tonight. So for Jake, Joe, and the rest of the Retro Series gang, what are going to be some keys to victory here tonight?
Yeah, that's been Ryan Otis' story, not over here in the Retro Series, but over in the sister series as well, the IndyCar series, where he's really impressive on the road courses, not so much on the ovals. He's he's still very fast, but certainly not as dominant. Let's go ahead and talk about what I think are going to be important here to be successful as this qualifying is just getting underway. It's all about location, 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 because passing is going to be tough. Pit strategy will be huge. Light fuel, I think, is going to mean more than fresh tires. So I'm expecting some long runs. I don't think anyone's going to come in early because they're slowing down because the tire's wearing. I'm expecting some long green flag runs. So the early peel, late reveal pit strategy, if you do choose to use that, isn't going to be as risky here, as the drivers have less chance of getting unlucky by pitting just before the yellow flag may wave. Now, when the chips are on the table, look for the leading cars to cover the inside like wall-to-wall carpet. If a driver needs to make a pass, getting to the outside, pinning the lead car to the inside lane, and hoping to get some momentum come off the corner might be the do-or-die move to get the checkered flag. But I think to sum this thing up, I got to quote the great rapper and little-known sim racer, and of course I'm talking about Ice Cube, when he said, "Chickadee check yourself before you wreck yourself, and diss the competition. It's all about track position." Adam, there you go.
Got nothing on that.
You haven't heard that? That's good. That's a good tune.
That's good, Soup. Okay, so are you going to be doing a collab with Ice Cube there here anytime soon?
Ice is tough on the track, man. He'll hold that inside line on you.
Of course, as you're mentioning, that's going to be a place we're going to have to watch out for tonight. Obviously, a trouble area will probably be likely coming off turn 4 when we see a little bit more wheel-to-wheel action, especially our very own Samuel Raymond, of course, racing tonight. And, he likes to give us a little intel here before these races start. And one of the things he was saying tonight to us, Soup, was that this car is really going to come alive on light fuel. So, I mean, we really think it's going to probably be when most of the passing's done.
Well, it would be. I think what's going to happen is drivers going to watch the cycle of the window and try to stay on. I don't think you want to be out there. That's why I don't think the early pit stop is going to come into play, because I think it makes you vulnerable to guys who are out there. They're going to make up a lot of time on the lighter fuel load, and I don't think you can afford to do that. So I think if your car's running out of fuel, I think you're going to stay out there and race it till it's dry. Looking here, and how about some of these names? How about Joe Branch is our sitting on the potential pole sitter right now. Good to see that from our onboard camera.
Yeah, not only sitting on the potential pole, but here so far up on that pole by over a tenth over Michael Goodman, a name that I don't believe we've seen here yet in this series, or at least not up toward the front. New York driver there. You see him on the screen coming back down pit road. I think it's definitely going to be interesting at the top of this field. Now, there is still technically about 2 minutes here left in qualifying. So we still, I do believe most of the big names, though, have put down times. So we might be getting close here to calling it. Don't want to call it too early, obviously, but definitely keep an eye here. I believe Jorge Zaldo, I believe he just checked out. I think he's ran both his laps. Peter Edwin, though, is sitting on pit road, and I don't believe David Cordy has run a time yet either. But Scott Johnson, I think, is out there just cruising around, just trying to make sure he stays in the back of the field, maybe trying a little bit of strategy where maybe he's just hoping things will kind of happen in front of him. But he is the only car out there right now, looking to see if Peter Edwin pulls out. I think we got a minute left here. Scott Johnson got up to speed. Let's see what he does here. Oh, nope. Backing camera on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is really based on qualifying times. I look at these preliminary numbers, or if it's just like a random toss. I mean, I think the world could be coming to the end when Ed Tutwiler qualifies 4 spots ahead of Jake Wright. So I got to make sure that my food supplies are well stocked up.
Well, we've seen it a few times already this year where Jake Wright didn't qualify so well, but of course, come race time, he ends up just fine. That very well could be it tonight. But I tell you what, Soup, I do think we could call Joe Branch your official pole sitter here for tonight. So there's your starting grid. Alongside him on the front row, Michael Goodman. And then take it away for row 2 there, Soup.
Sure. Row 2, Scott Bolster and Bob Mikus. Mikus picking up a win the other day in the Lionheart series.
Yeah, Bob Mikus always putting on a good show here in the Retro series as well. Tony Schoen coming home in 5th alongside Chris Lanini.
Big Joe Hazard inside of row 4. Outside of him, Matthew Mercer.
Yeah, all right. I keep calling him my fellow newsman out of California. Jason Galvin running in 9th for qualifying in the inside of row 5. Outside of him, as we mentioned, Ed Tutwiler.
In the lucky 11th spot, it is Chris Stouffer just inside of Jane Paulison for row number 6.
Yeah, George Zaldo. I keep on wanting to say Jorge. I always apologize. George Zaldo starting in 13th. And 14th position, as we were talking about, Jake Wright, who will be looking to try to get back up front and maybe take away the points lead here today.
Row 8 is going to be filled by Mitchell Moeller and Rory Collins.
Yeah, row 9 is going to be Drew Motz and Pierre Daigle.
And then back there in the 19th and 20th spot, it is Vincent Bluthenthal and Frank Beezer.
All right, so now row 11 is going to belong to Dustin Wardlow, followed by Patrick Taylor.
Shout out to Dustin Wardlow. I did get my Dwarves candy in the mail, as did many of us here at GSRC. Thank you, Dustin. Next row is going to be David Altman and Travis Jagerliner.
Yeah, our very own Samuel Raymond starting in 25th and Robert Bluen starting in 26th.
Way back there behind Bluent is going to be Brian Greenlee and Scott Johnson in 27th and 28th.
And then to round out the field will be Peter Edwins, who is out there, and David Cordy, who I do not see on the grid yet, so we'll have to watch. In fact, he is in the session, but I just do not see him on the grid at the moment. So as of right now, Soup, it looks like we'll have 29 or 30 cars here to start. Going to be a pretty tight start. If we do see some action before things spread out, I do believe here it'll be on the start where things are going single file. But remember, restarts tonight the start will be double file, restarts will be single file. If I can just get the words out today, that would be fantastic. So, Soup, who are you going to be looking at trying to make a move here early?
Well, you got to like Jake Wright back there, but something tells me something's a little bit off for him. I go through here. I like Jason Galvin, the Bakersfield driver, sitting back there in 9th position. He should be. Let's keep an eye on him.
Always got to watch out for Jason Galvin. He's actually, it's kind of funny. One of the guys I used to work with here is actually at one of his competing TV stations, so competing anchors against each other. Of course, if you don't know Jason Galvin, he good old newsman out there, Bakersfield, and of course, Samuel Raymond, our very own, does some stuff for Fox Sports, and of course, you got me out there. So a big news-heavy night tonight, I guess.
And our in-car camera sits on the pole there with Joe Branch up in front with the Joe Branch Apex Infotech Indy Elite Series in-car camera.
Yeah, and I was doing some reading, and we'll get this out early here too. That the Indy Elite Series, they actually going to have their big event with the Indian 500 coming up here in a few weeks. It'll be broadcasted by our friends over at Race Spot, so it might be something worth checking out there. Of course, Joe Branch going to be trying to make some move early, and I have a feeling we'll be spending quite a bit of time here on board with him tonight.
All right, I'm excited. It's good to see these retro cars in action.
Yeah, Soup, they are definitely a blast, and I do believe they'll put on a pretty good show here at New Hampshire tonight. Joe Branch starting up front. He's going to be looking to try to get away early. Pace car will be peeling off here in just a second, and there they go. Those engines start revving up, and they are away. As they pass the pace car, I'm looking at Joe Branch getting out there to an early lead over Michael Goodman, but the question will be, will he be able to hold it? And so far, it looks good. You see him starting to run that middle line already. And right behind him, of course, is the likes of Joe Branch, Michael Goodman, and then Bob Mikas starting back there. And then right behind him, you got Scott Bolster running that good old skull car. Every time I see a skull car, I have to think of old NASCAR driver Harry Gant out there. And, of course, behind him in 5th position, Tony Schuin. So your early top 5 there being very strong early. Already trying to get a little bit of a gap on 6th place, Chris Lanini. But, car on the wall. We've got a big wreck going on. Paulson up in the air in that petty blue and red machine. Couple of cars involved. See some people sliding down toward the infield. Big mess here early, Bill.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, I think Ed Tutwiler was in that one as well. He got almost turned over, so we're going to see if we can find it in slow motion. Probably that's the way Joe Pike likes to do it. Some cars got very much airborne. James Paulson goes flying.
Was that Paulson that got in the wall and then came down at Ed and just started the chain reaction from there?
That was it.
Yeah, that helicopter view catching quite a bit here tonight. But unfortunately, catching a couple cars whose races are probably going to be ending here very early on.
Boy, almost too many cars to name also involved in it. Mitchell Moeller, George Anzaldo in this one. I think Vincent Blumenthal gets caught up in it. Paulson, Tutwiler we mentioned.
Ooh, I said helicopter, but you definitely got that sense that Paulson was acting like a helicopter, spinning like a top in the air.
Maybe
very wild ride for him.
Maybe a nice onboard would be Robert Bluen. I think he's able to get through. Here we're going to ride with Blumenthal. He gets caught in it. You pick where you want to go. Well, that's not where it is. Actually, he might have got away with it. It might have cleared for him. Looks like he picked up a little bit of damage. Now, this is how you do it. Bluen just kind of gets on the binders and just kind of reminds me of A.J. Foyt in '64, where he just kind of weaves his way through the carnage. Whoa, 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 and there you go.
Good bit of driving by Bluen, and who was that in front of him at the time? Those guys did a fantastic job of getting through that action. That was a little bit on the crazy side. It was
that might have been Jägerliner. Yeah,
Jägerliner. Yeah.
Ultramall car.
So great job by those guys being able to try to get the pieces back together. But unfortunately, that does put a couple of people who we sometimes are able to keep an eye on. For instance, James Paulson. I kind of think that his day might be done after that. But your early leaderboard, of course, your top 5 not changing from when we were talking about it just a few minutes ago. But hey, while we got the chance, might as well talk about 6 through 10, right? Chris Lanini back there, Big Joe Hassert running in 7th, Jason Galvin running in 8th. Mercer going to restart here in 9th, and of course Christopher in 10th as well. So that's going to be your top 10 when we get back to green here in just a minute. Lights still on in the pace car. Now, remember, these guys will be restarting single file, so things might be a little bit less crazy than what you saw on the start there. But still, you got to think that they'll be trying to get at least a position or 2 here pretty quick early.
We can just follow up on some of the drivers that are now been in the pits. They are at least 1 lap down, but maybe their day isn't done. Mitchell Moeller in there, Frank Weiser in there. We talked about Anzaldo. He's still in the pits right now. Paulson and David Courtney didn't give him much attention. He qualified. I don't think actually he took the grid.
No, actually, I believe David Courtney might be the race admin tonight. So
there you go.
Just got to thinking about that a few minutes ago. Appreciate David Courtney's time and effort to helping the series run smooth and the races run smooth. If you've never participated in a Lionheart race, particularly the retro races, which I've been involved with here for the last couple months, they do a great show, and a lot of it's because of the in-race admins. They're able to try to help keep things going and nice and smoothly, of course. So big appreciation there to David Cordy. Of course, above him in the finishing order is going to be some pretty big names out there. I do notice that Pierre Daigle's now a lap down also. Another one of those guys we usually have our eye on, at least somewhere. Tough break. I hate these early race accidents for these guys, but we've got to put it in the past because the lights are off on the pace car. We're going to be going back green here the next time we hit the front straightaway with Joe Branch in the lead here early on. Might try to lag back just a little bit, see if we can get a little bit of a jump here as the pace car begins to round turn 4. Pulling down into the pit straight. Just waiting for them to get on the loud pedal. And there they go. They are back away. Joe Branch back in front of this lead. He's going to head him down into turn 1. And very early on, it looks like Goodman just tries to take a sneak peek down below him. But I think he's just mostly just letting the air getting tongue-tied. The air get on his nose, probably get a little bit more downforce on the front end of that car. As they're going to go ahead and take this thing all the way around, stay in the positions they were with Branch in first, Goodman in second, Micus in third. Going back though to Jason Galvin. Jason Galvin having to hold on a big charge by Big Joe Hassert. Right now, they are, Jason's up just a few spots from where he started, but Joe's actually dropped a spot, hoping to get one of those spots back and maybe try to hang in Jason Galvin's draft here. Soup.
Yeah, Galvin just got that spot, actually. He was able to get around Hassert. I've been watching it. Looks like the drivers try to do it on the low side. In fact, let's go ahead and look at this battle now for 6th position. As here they go side by side. This is Tony Schowen in a battle now, making the high side work. Chris Lanini tried to get in there, and he tried to tuck it in. They can get the nose in. Watch the 92 of Lanini again as he tries to duck it in on the inside, but they just can't get a bite off the corner, and the top side seems to work. Here he comes again. They're going to be close as they go side by side across the start-finish line. Lanini's going to be good going into one, Adam, but I'm not sure if he can make it stick.
Yeah, that's going to be a big question. Of course, right now this is going to be it seems like a very momentum-based track. We talked about it at the pre-race show. We're already seeing it in action here as Jason Galvin is going to be trying to make a move here on Chris Lanini going into 3. And I think Chris is just might just kind of let him have it. He kind of went a little bit higher there than normal. It's going to be one of those, I kind of know you're faster. You can go have at it, man. Now he gets a little bit more of a look doing the 1, but that might be one of those deals where he's just not able to get it to stick. One thing I have noticed, Soup, is it does seem like now nobody's really able to use the bottom too well just yet, but if you had to pick an end of the racetrack, I think people are having better luck with the bottom at 3 and 4 than 1 or 2 at this point. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so too. I absolutely do. This track is kind of playing out when we went to Phoenix, and Sean, our buddy Sean Crackers Ambrose, was with me, and he mentioned, I guess it was maybe in the IndyCar series that we covered, where it's almost a matter of failed passes. I noticed that from Lanini when he tried to make the pass on Schowen. You talked about momentum. Well, if you make a pass and it doesn't work, not only do you not get the pass made, but then you lose a spot, and that's what happened as Galvin was able to move up to 6th.
So Galvin is being one of your early chargers here for today. Even right now, looking like Jake Wright's only been able to move a couple of positions. We were mentioning him earlier on too. But you see these guys right now. Jason Galvin, that last lap, 25.8. He's actually one of the faster car out there right now. See what's going on with Scott Johnson there, Sue.
Well, some of this is done on the track. Some of this is from attrition, but he's up. The guy qualified 28th. He's running in 18th position right now, but I think he might have just lost a pot to Peter Edmonds as Peter goes by in that number 16 machine, moves up to 18th. Johnson falls back to 19th, but he's one of our hard chargers out there in that Camel machine.
Yeah, of course, we were watching him just kind of lazily flitting around there and qualifying. I was wondering maybe he was intentionally trying to end up at the back of the field. So far, it's working out for him, being able to come up about 9 spots, of course, plus 10 just a minute ago. But still, some pretty good, some, as you mentioned, attrition, but some lids definitely passes out there, being able to get around some guys. So, meanwhile, up front, we haven't talked a while up front. Joe Branch now pulling away from the likes of Michael Goodman, almost by a second at this point. They are passing that lap car. That lap car was Pierre Daigle. Pierre Daigle still with some damage there earlier on, so you're going to be seeing him drop through the field, unfortunately. And in fact, Frank Beezer has just announced that his car is still not drivable, so he's officially retiring from the race. So still some casualties going on there from that early race accident. So out there right now, of course, as we mentioned, Joe Branch up front, Goodman still in second. That top 5 really hasn't shifted around a whole lot. Most of the positions that we've been watching are people that are coming up through the field. Of course, right now we're looking at about 14th and 15th here between Vincent Blumenthal and Travis Jaegerleiner. Travis, we saw getting through that wreck earlier on, along with Vincent Blumenthal. Vincent, we kind of wondering if maybe we got in a wall, maybe damaged a little bit of his suspension. It doesn't appear that way, Soup. It appears like his car is just fine so far, able to hold off Travis.
Absolutely, doing a real good job as we ride on board with Travis right now. Now we come off. They go 2 by 2. You see Jaegerleiner losing that spot to Blumenthal. Look at that bee's nest going on back there in this battle for like 13th back. Actually, it's 12th. At 14th, Vincent Blumenthal, Jaegerleiner in there. Now, I got a hunch that pretty soon our race steward, David Courtney, might be getting on the phone to Pierre Nightingale and ask Nightingale to call it a day, as he's way off the race pace right now.
Yeah, that car is definitely on the hurt side, and it might be one of those situations where he's just out there just hoping for maybe a little bit more attrition. Yeah. But the way things are shaping out, I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. That battle's still going on there between Vincent Blumenthal on back. Right now on your screen there, you've got Robert Lewin and Peter Edmonds and David Altman. All 3 of those guys back there as well, fighting hard for every single spot they can get, trying to work their way up past Robert Lewin right now. That's the 77 car, your red and black 77 car, sitting in 16th position. Peter Edmonds with the look inside, and it looks like that was an inside drive that might actually be able to stick maybe just a little bit. Nope. Robert Lewin has some better momentum there, and I believe he was actually able to get back past him by the time he got to the start-finish line. But you do see David Altman kind of drift up a little bit high. He's trying to get every little bit of momentum that he can coming off 3, but ultimately it doesn't look like that pass is going to be successful. So take a look at the red, white, and blue car there of David Altman. David Altman's his own little battle with Scott Johnson. Scott Johnson actually pulled alongside of him just not too long ago. That's kind of settled down a little bit, but I think that was just because he kind of lost a little bit of ground when he got alongside of him. But I think Scott Johnson's definitely the faster car out of the 2. He's going to be continuing to try to look behind him.
Yeah,
So
Altman got loose, and he's going to surrender this position. Here comes Scott Johnson on the inside. In fact, Altman blinking a little bit in the 88 in that red, white, and blue machine. Johnson trying to tuck underneath. Is he going to be able to close the job? Boy, I think, did we lose Altman?
No, he came back. But you could definitely tell the reaction. And Scott Johnson had his eyes on that when it happened, and you could kind of see him give him a lot more room when he started blinking there. Of course, blinking's just that's just sometimes something that happens when you're dealing with sim racing. So these guys know to give himself quite a bit of room. So Wardlow in the grass, taking a little bit of an adventure. That's not the way to cut the grass, buddy. They got other people that do that for you. But he is definitely off the pace here. We're taking a look at the replay. Let's see what happened here, Soup.
Just a self-spin. The car got a little bit loose. He catches it. Then when it gets on the grass, he straightens it out, just lets the car settle down, waits to get back on the grass till he gets back out on the tarmac. Yeah, he lost a few spots, but he kept the car going straight and didn't bring out a yellow. So we can continue under green. 23 laps into this stint.
That makes me wonder a little bit here, Soup. We're looking at lap 25. We were thinking that these cars, about how far they're about halfway through a fuel run now. Could some of them just be starting to get a little bit lighter in the back end?
Well, they're about halfway through the pit run, and the pit window actually opens up. My guess is it opens up at about lap 33. I'm not sure if anyone has taken that. That's the earliest you could come in and still finish the race with one more stop. You figure about 110 laps for 2 stops. At 33, that gets you to 143. So that's your magic mark. We'll see if anyone wants to bite early. There are some drivers who like to do what my dad called the early peel, late reveal. They come in, they peel off into pit lane early, you forget about them. What's revealed at the end of the race is, hey, look who's out in front. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not sure that's going to happen, though, with cars being so fast.
So, anyway, we've got to go back over to Robert Bluen. Robert Bluen was holding off the hard-charging Peter Edwards. And when Peter got alongside of him, really, I don't know if he got loose or something, but he definitely had to back out of it and kind of backed up everybody from about Altman on back. And that includes the light of Scott Johnson and Wardlow. Wardlow now alongside Scott Johnson trying to take a little bit of a peek, but he's going to have to back out of that. But that almost got very bad very quick for a couple of guys there.
Yeah, and in fact, if we can look, we're looking at Johnson there. If you move up 2 spots, Director, up to 15th spot, the guy that Adam just talked about is Peter Edwards. This is the guy that I've had my eye on. He really seems to have this car on the rails right now. Started 29th, he's up 13 spots. He's been working on Bluen. He was ahead of Bluen for a while, then he lost that spot. This is a guy we're going to watch for the next, 100 laps, see how this thing shakes out. Wouldn't be surprised to see him up near the front when it's all said and done.
Yeah, he might be one guy that's really wanting a yellow at this point. Try to bunch back up this field and get a few more spots. But I've got to notice that too. He's definitely been on the quicker side, and I think right now it's Robert Bluen. Robert Bluen's usually a pretty fast guy, but I think Robert Bluen's the one holding him up right now.
Well, let me tell you guys who are looking for yellows, and that would be guys like Samuel Ryman, Brian Greenlee. These are guys back in 20th, 22nd position. There's a battle going on starting back. Well, we've been watching it, really. It's back with Edwin's all the way back. We have a slow car there on the inside. That's Michael Goodman. Now, Michael was
just noticed something happened. He was in second place, and I noticed that he wasn't there anymore just a second ago. Figure out what happened.
Yeah, he self-spin now. I think he kept it. No, he put it in the outside wall. Let's see if we can get this. He touches the outside wall. There you see it there. Then the car comes down. He gets it in the grass. He wallets the wall with a wallop, and that car sits on the grass. I guess because he came off the racing line, we didn't get the yellow flag.
Yeah, very, very tough break for Michael Goodman, the New York driver who was running in second second with only a second and a half back from Joe Branch at the time. And that's I hate seeing guys up front run into trouble like that, but unfortunately for Goodman, that's pretty significant damage in his car. So we haven't been up front in a while, so just want to Joe Branch. Joe Branch is up front right now with Bob Mikas up there now in second. Now, this is noteworthy because this last lap, Bob Mikas actually took off 0.3 of a second off Joe Branch's lead, and that clock continues to go back down further. Now 1.1 seconds, so he's gained another 1/10 of a second on that lap on him. You see the time difference. In fact, he was a 1/10 of a second lap faster with Joe running a 25.7 and Bob Mikas running a 25.6. That very well could be something that heats up here a little bit, and Scott Balster back there running a 25.6 as well. So we got, even though there's still a little ways back, we do have second and third catching your leader right now.
Yeah, Cole Mikas call Micah's butter, because he's been on a roll. He has a win. He got a win last time out in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. He has a win already in the Retro Series here. He's been really hot. And yeah, now with Goodman out of the way, he picks up that spot and Branch is in his clutches for sure. It's almost down. It's almost under a second.
Yeah, it was under a second there for a split second. I think Joe Branch just kind of had a good run on him, a good run on that last lap there. But the last probably 10 laps or so, looking at lap times and everything, Bob Mikas has been consistently faster than Joe Branch. So I do think that is going to be something that we're going to have to keep our eye on here a little bit. But we'll go and keep one eye on that. But let's go ahead and go back to that battle that's going on from right now about 11th place on 10th and 11th right now. Drew Motz and Matthew Mercer, they're only separated by about 4/10 of a second right there. Well, now 6/10 of a second, so that's kind of split up just a little bit. Of course, in front of them you see Jake Wright on your screen. We were talking about what kind of run would he be able to make. Well, he's up about 5 spots. Not a tremendous run, not like what we're seeing out of some guys here, but still a good run nonetheless here compared to where he was at.
And I want to quickly talk, if we can go back to 20th position right now. This is Samuel Ryman. Now, I'm going to apologize. I thought he came in for a pit stop. The window was opened up. He did take a stop, but that was on the early yellow, so he topped up there. We're still waiting for somebody to come in early as the window has opened up. But these guys, Ryman now back there racing in 20th. These guys are coming in jeopardy of going down a lap. Joe Branch is right behind him right now.
I'm looking at lap times here, Soup, and I think the reason why we're not really seeing anybody come in early is the lap speeds, and we touched,
Yep.
It's not one of those things we touched on in the pre-race show. The lap speeds have not fallen off too much from where they were at the start of the race. Hold on a second.
Oh. I believe I heard the 88 getting, and now of course this is, want to make sure I get this right. 88, is there such a guy? That's David Altman.
Yeah, David Altman, I believe, is getting a 30-second stop here. So we'll monitor that situation. So we were saying that the tires are not falling off that much. The lap time is very comparable to what they were at the start of the race. And thanks to Samuel Raymond, some of the intel that he was giving us was that pit stops here are probably going to cost you about a lap in 3 seconds. So it becomes a question, do you really want to lose that ground? Because if you come in early, that's a higher likelihood that you're going to have another yellow come out and possibly put you more than a lap behind the leaders with no real good way of getting it back.
What it does let you do, if you're somebody like Joe Branch, he's about a second ahead of Bob Mikas, and he's about 2 seconds ahead of Bolster. Those guys have the possibility of coming in if they hustle, of staying either on the lead lap or darn close to the lead lap, as they are so far out in front. And, 20 cars still on the lead lap. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do believe that Pierre Daigle, I no longer see him out there. I do believe that he has parked his vehicle. Yes, it is sitting on pit road without him in it. That was, of course, a story just following up on that one from earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what, before we get to the first pit stops, we're now about almost 1/3 of the way through the race. Let's go ahead and do a quick through the field. Maybe we can try to get it in here before pit stops really kick off. Of course, up front has been Joe Branch. Joe Branch has been up front here all race long, but now, as you see him getting around Samuel Raymond, starting to have to work his way through lap traffic. And Bob Mikas, in addition to that, so we'll go ahead and go back to Bob Mikas. He's been gaining on him by now down to about 0.8 of a second. So that very well could increase as they start getting in the lap traffic here as far as the rate that he's catching him. So while we're doing the through the field, let's go ahead and make sure that leader battle does not develop. So Scott Bolster's kind of slowed down just a little bit here the last couple laps. He's now about 3 seconds behind your leader, but still a good run for him. He started third, continued to run third in that Skull machine, and behind him we find the likes of Tony Schuen. He is running about 3.6 seconds behind the leaders right now. He's up one position from the start, and that Midwest driver putting on another good consistent show. Remember, he is the one that has been on the on the course the most laps so far this season. So far, that's continuing for him tonight. Jason Galvin finding himself back in 5th. With that Menards vehicle and Quaker State machine, kind of looks like old Scott Brayton's old ride. Of course, Scott Brayton tragically lost his life in practice for the 1996 Indy 500, but that car out there in his colors, and I think Tony Stewart ran a similar car a few years in the IRL as well. After all that, then going back to 6th position, you'll find Chris Lanini. Chris having a very good, consistent show as well. Big Joe Hastert in 7th position. Big Joe pretty much running right where he started right now. His last lap, though, was his best lap of the race, running at about a 25.5, but so far that finds him about 12 seconds behind your leaders. Chris Stouffer running in 8th position. Chris, another one of those guys just kind of having a quiet day out there, but he is up 3 positions from where he started. Behind him, a guy that's looking to try to take over that points lead here today. Might need a few more spots to be able to do it. To be able to do it for sure, and of course that is Jake Wright. Jake Wright having a great season. Of course, he didn't fare too well at the last oval race at Pocono, but he is doing a pretty good job here today, having a top 10 ride. Drew Mott is behind him. Drew Mott's currently running in 10th position to round out your top 10. They're running about 14.6 seconds behind the leader, but Drew Mott's is another charger here for today, up 7 positions from where he started in that Red Bull. All right, so now things are kind of heating up front. At least we got through the top 10. Let's go ahead and go up to Joe Branch and Bob Mikas. All right, Bob Mikas. Wow.
What's happened here is you got, look at the car number 77 running in 18th position. That's Bluen. He's about to be lapped by the 2nd place car. Here comes Mikas. Mikas was able to get up on the back of our leader as he was working his way through traffic. They knocked off drivers like Greenlee and Bolster and went through those guys. Also, Samuel Ryman got lapped. So as the leader starts to negotiate through the lap traffic, right now he's working on Dustin Wardlow. It's giving Mikas a chance to get in there, but Mikas is having a hard time as he's able to get in front of Bluen. Move that, Bluen goes a lap down to the 2nd place car right now. We're going to ride on board with the leader, see what he's looked like. He's going to be looking ahead at Dustin Wardlow right now.
Yeah, of course, this is your Apex Infotech Indy Elite Series onboard camera. Riding along with your leader right now, Joe Branch, just trying to do his best right now to work around lap traffic. Of course, you just saw what kind of the kind of thing that can happen in lap traffic, getting stuck behind a little bit with Bob Mikas just a second ago, getting stuck behind Robert Bluen, losing a little bit of ground to him. But this camera definitely is going to be on something here once that battle hits back up. This is definitely getting a little tight. So he is desperately trying to work his way around Dustin Wardlow, but it looks like even Dustin Wardlow is kind of hanging up the leader just a little bit. Remember, these guys, when you look at practice times and qualifying times, even though Joe Branch was definitely the class of the field when it came to practice and qualifying, his times were not all that far off the rest of the field. So this field is very tight on time, and this is probably part of the reason why the leaders are having a little bit of a trouble here, Sue.
Luthenthal first to bite for pit stops, and you wonder why are the back markers working so hard? Why is Wardlow trying so hard to stay on the lead lap? They're going to be making stops here in the next lap or two, and Dustin says, boy, if I can stay out here, the longer I can stay out, the better for me.
Yeah, but pit road definitely is getting ready to become a busy place. Do not want to miss your pit stall. We saw that cost a few guys at Pocono, so definitely want to make sure that you're hitting your marks coming down pit road, especially when you're trying to gain every little bit of an advantage that you can. Joe Branch still back there behind Dustin Wardlow, just cannot get around him. And meanwhile, while that's happening, Bob Mikas has been able to gain about 3/10 on him.
Biggest fan of Dustin Wardlow right now is Bob Mikas as Wardlow continues to race that outside line. Careful as the car comes into the pit. They just get out of the way. That was the yellow car coming in. That was Scott Johnson. Oh, my goodness. Made a wide entry. Really need to pull that car down and not to get a pit entry from the outside lane like that.
Yeah, and that's really tough to do at this kind of track as well. There's not a whole lot of room for pit entry or pit exit. You can definitely see some mix-ups there, and that's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially with the leaders in the middle of lap traffic right now. Is now Joe Branch is going to have to try to work his way around the lap car of Patrick Taylor back there. But pit road, definitely a busy place now.
Micus is in, Showen is in, Galvin is in. We think this might be time for Joe Branch.
I think he'd have to at this point.
Oh, he's awfully slow. Is Joe out of gas? I think Joe Blanche has run out of fuel. This thing is coasting in. It looks like the 1967 turbine car coasting in. I don't know if he has enough momentum to get there.
Yellow flag is out. Oh, Scott Bolster was around.
Bolster. I believe Bolster had just pitted. He might have been coming out on cold tires. Am I correct that he had made a stop?
No, I think he was getting ready to come in, and as soon as he got on the binders to slow himself, I think that's when the car just kind of looped around on him and spun right in the middle of the track. Everybody did a great job of missing him.
I'd like to see now.
Oh,
Go, let's put the cameras on Branch.
Oh, I don't know if he's going to make it.
He's using his Flintstone feet. He's scooting up in the chair. He's trying to get there. He needs some help. He needs a teammate to come in and help him. Remember, he was your pole sitter, so he's got the farthest to go.
The tough break for Joe Branch.
Yeah, he's already lost at least a couple laps even to get there. Maybe a penalty for entering a closed pit. So, Adam, you talked about leaders having trouble. Well, there's another one. Here comes a little help. Nope.
So now we'll have to see if
he's gone. He took a tow.
What's going to happen here with pit stops? I do not believe. Has Jake Wright come in? No, he's in right now. Okay.
Brian Greenlee, the only one who has yet to pit, according to my timing and scoring, running in 11th right now. Greenlee and Bluen have not come in.
And of course, Greenlee, he's not going to get it. But what he was trying to do was try to get that bonus point for leading a lap. But I don't think the cards were in his favor based on everybody else pitting, and he's just got to come in. Oh. Okay. So Greenlee might have been a lap down already. And getting back to Joe Branch, he just commented that he was so focused. And you could see it. I mean, he was trying really hard out there. He was so focused that he forgot to pit. He did not realize that his tank was that low. So tough mental break on Joe Branch there.
Well, Adam, now, my job as a colorman, I should probably know this, but I think since there are no fast repairs and he had to take a tow, he's sitting in his pit right now. Is he done? Is his day done?
No, he'll still be able to dump fuel in the car whenever
he'll be able to fill it up.
Back. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
but he has to wait. He has to wait all that time for iRacing to do the tow. Then I guess. Huh?
Yeah. So it just depends on how much time iRacing gave him on that. So he's right now just hoping that he can kind of limit the damage as much as he can to be able to get out there and still at least run competitively. Still try to get some good points out of today too, because don't forget. I mean, he is running for points this season.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have happened under green flag, so he looked out that way. And, we talked about why was Pierre Degla, in fact, here comes Branch rolling right now. Why was Degla out there racing off speed like that, trying to put in a few laps, get whatever you can?
Yeah,
you never know when something's going to happen.
And I mentioned Joe Branch trying to get out there for points right now. He's running 8th in points, and he's in a pretty tight point battle with Travis Jagerliner. So I mean, he definitely has some motivation to try to get out there. Now these guys we were talking about before, and of course it could very well play into Ryan Otis. With Ryan Otis, these guys do get 2 drops through the season. Now, what you want to do is try to make sure that if you drop a race, that all your other finishes are great. I mean, you want to try 11th place was my worst finish all season. Sure, I'll drop that. That would be the best thing. But lights are off on the pace car here, Soup. We're getting ready to go back. Green flag racing, and look at that, Chris Lanini, your front runner right now, going back to green.
Jake Wright qualified 14th up to 2nd. We told you to keep an eye on him. There you go.
Yeah, we definitely was wondering when Jake Wright would get back up to the front of this race, and did not think it might happen because of a yellow in the middle of the pit cycle, but indeed it has. Matthew Mercer running third, Drew Motz in fourth, and Travis Jägerminer in fifth. We actually have to go all the way back to Scott Bolster in ninth and Bob Mikus in 10th before we find where your front runners were before the yellow. Of course, Scott Bolster was the one that brought out the yellow with that kind of spin under braking there, trying to get down to pit road. But those guys will be trying to get every little spot they can back after that yellow, kind of untimely yellow there. And can't forget Jason Galvin's back there as well, along with Tony Schumann is running back there as well. I believe that's Tony Schumann there in the orange car. Of course, Jason Galvin in the yellow and green machine. But Chris Lanini's been able to get out to a pretty good jump here on Jake Wright up front, with Jake Wright falling to about 0.7 of a second back. Chris Lanini actually doing pretty good here. Pretty good distance built up already between first and second, and then second and third very early on after that. So, but do believe that they'll have to pit, of course, before everybody else on the next pit cycle, as that yellow flag did kind of mix things up quite a bit. But now, after all that, we're only left with 14 cars on the lead lap there, Sue.
Absolutely. The cars that have been put a lap down: Robert Bluen, Brian Greenlee, Scott Johnson, Joe Branch, of course, he's 2 laps down. He's still out there racing right now. Samuel Ryman, the last car on the lead lap. No, let me correct myself. Looks like Big Joe Hassard running back there. We have another car slow coming into pit lane right now. 2 cars coming in. It's Ryman coming in and Schowen coming in. Those guys were back of the pack. Was there an incident? They were racing together. Did they get together? No, I don't think so.
This might be some sort of strategy going on here. I'm not quite sure what, but something definitely at play. Tony Schumann, of course, he's your front runner as far as the most laps completed here so far this season, but Sam has come in a way. It looks like that might have just been for fuel. Tony Schumann, he's not coming in at any kind of urgent pace, though.
With 68 laps to go, I'm not sure the strategy here. You're going to have to make one more stop, so something was amiss. I would have to think that maybe they came in, didn't get a fuel load when they came in the first time. Hopefully, maybe they'll stop in and tell us why they had to do that. Let's go ahead and look at the driver I've been keeping my eye on all race, and that's Peter Edwins. He's now running in 8th position, and he is in a pinata full of bees. Patrick Taylor up in 6th, Wardlow in 7th, Edwin back there in 8th. If you look back at 9th position, this is Bolster making a move in here. Here comes Bob Mikus. We know he's fast. He's been relegated back to 10th. He'd like to pick up some of these spots. Mike is working on Bolster right now, side by side down the main straight. I think Mike is going to have a good run into 1. I think he should be able to finish this. But look at that, Adam, like you said. Boy, I don't think the inside worked nearly as good through 1 and 2 as it does through 3 and 4.
No, it really doesn't. And, you know, it always makes you wonder. You look at these tracks from the air, and they look symmetrical, but you drive a car on them, and they are anything but symmetrical, very much asymmetrical. And 1 and 2 here is definitely quite a bit different than 3 and 4. At least it feels like it behind the wheel, and especially with the line that you take. Just a big mix-up here. Scott Bolster, he's going to have to hold off. Well, I think he's just going to let Bob Mikus go here. Probably the smarter move of the two right now. You know he's a little bit faster. Might as well not hold him up. But Jason Galvin trying to sneak back there. Might try to take a little bit of advantage here. Maybe going into 1 if he's a little bit closer. I think he's still a little bit too far back. Bob Mikus dives that car in. You see Scott Bolster take that little bit more of a high line. It's almost like he's just trying to keep his right sides on that little bit of a different textured asphalt that's on that higher line here, and just trying to keep all that momentum up that he possibly can here at this point. We talked about it earlier. It's going to be a very momentum-based track, and with that, I almost didn't catch it, Sue, but we are finally past the halfway mark.
And Chris Lanini out in front. You know, Chris' best finish this season has only been a 5th place finish. He had that in the season opener when we raced at Pocono. I'm sorry, no, that was last race at Pocono. Sorry, they list him from the bottom. So he's coming off his best finish at Pocono, and boy, that was an attrition fest. If you want to see an old school race that is reminiscent of 1978 when these cars really raced, it was a handful of cars that survived that one. But for Lanini right now, having a good run.
Yeah, he really is. Pocono, wow, that was... Go ahead.
And he's running away from Jake Wright. He's got to be pleased. This is a great run from lead. 2.3 seconds up now on Wright.
Well, and not to mention the fact that Jake Wright is also now up by almost 2.5 seconds on Matthew Mercer. So, if there are two guys, I think that right now don't want to see a caution, it's probably Chris Lanini and Jake Wright. Jake Wright, he just wants to have another good, strong, consistent finish. Supa, I don't think you mind me sharing with everybody, but one of the things that you brought up earlier is Jake Wright has not won a race yet this season, and yet he's up there fighting up toward the front. He just wants to have another good consistent finish. But there is one battle that is heating up out there, and that is, looks like it's Travis Jagerliner and Dustin Wardlow. They're getting back there. They are mixing it up, and I believe that is who is that? I believe that's Drew Motz is just in front of them as well.
Yeah, Motz might be the slowest of the three. Motz running in 4th position right now, up there running in that Red Bull machine. Jagerliner's pretty fast as well. The car in the middle in the Gillette Contour, the Ultramar blue and black and yellow machine. But the guy in the back, Dustin Wardlow back there in the Dwarves Candy, trying to make it around those guys.
Well, use a term, trying to make it around these guys a little bit loosely here. These guys are definitely having some trouble passing, even when leaders get a big step in lap traffic. Definitely a lot of trouble passing. I keep saying "but" a lot. I don't know how to stop that tonight, Soup, so I apologize for that. But these guys definitely. Sorry, our director gave us a few suggestions about how to stop saying that. But Travis Jagerliner definitely putting down some good lap times, but Dustin Wardlow's are better, and Drew Motz is starting to step it up here a little bit. I think Drew Motz is starting to feel the heat behind him.
Okay, it's in my contract that I use this analogy every 5 races, so the director has said it's time for it. Right now, you got back there, you're looking at Wardlow running back in 6th position. And my dad always used to say when it came to passing the tough drivers, like milking a rooster, the hard part starts after you catch it, and that's what's going on right now. Wardlow's caught the bird, but he just can't find the nipple right now. He's got a good run. Look at this. Let's see if he ducks to the inside. That's how you get some rooster milk. Dive into the inside of 3 and 4. This is where it works the best. Let's see if he can make it stick. Side by side down the front straight. Nope, that outside line again with more momentum at him.
Rooster milk. Soup, you're killing me tonight.
Oh, and he tried to do it again. That's why it's tough.
Yeah, but you can definitely see how that outside line just works and just holds the momentum in these cars. If you've never driven the Lotus 79, particularly never driven it on an oval, you've got to. You got yellow on the track.
Flag.
Let's see if we can find out what happened here. Greenlee's car is all tore up. Oh, he had a big wreck going down the backstretch here alongside Bob Mikas. They're going to make contact.
Oh, my.
And you're just going to see him just up against the wall, rumbling, tumbling, fumbling.
Cartwheels, yeah.
We need Joe Madden in here to make that call on that one. That was a little bit of a wild ride.
Mama Jean, if you're watching at home, it's just simulated. Brian's okay. In fact, look, he's still driving the car. Watch this in slow motion. Kind of like an SK modified there. Just got up in the wall, and then...
I gotta say, this is, I bring it up sometimes, but this is one of those accidents where I'm really glad that we're kind of in a simulated environment here, because you can see his right front kind of get up into the catch fence a little bit on that first one, and if it was a real life car, that would have been a bad deal for him. Maybe it wasn't Mikas. Hold on one second. Let me figure it. It was Vincent Blumenthal. It was Vincent Blumenthal with him. My apologies on that one.
You talked about, fortunately, it's simulated racing. For full immersion, what I do is my wife stands behind me with a frying pan. And every time I smash the car into the wall, she smacks me with it. Just so to really get into the whole feeling of it.
Soup, there's these things called concussions.
No, I wear a helmet.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so now we're going to see if anybody's going to try to go ahead and come down pit road. I do not believe anybody would actually be able to make it from here, so it's one of those we'll have to wait and see things, and maybe they want fresher tires, but at the same time we also haven't seen too much fall off. But Chris Lanini and I think Jake Wright definitely, or now Dustin Wardlow, Jake Wright kind of fell a few positions there.
We're getting real close. Again, math is not my forte. 84 and 55 is 139. Did I do that right? And our race is 143 laps. I don't know. I think if you ask Joe Branch, he'd say it's not doable.
No, I think if you ask Joe Branch, he's saying yes. Everybody can do it.
Everyone should try it. Joe, of course, the driver who ran out of fuel while leading. What might happen now? You have to be careful. Some of these guys at the back, are the lights still on? The caution. See, some of these guys at the back could come in, fill this sucker up, pack it as full as you can, and then put a raw egg under the throttle and see if you can nurse this car.
Ooh, that might be a tough ask on a track like this, Sue, but I would not be surprised if we see somebody try it. I mean, why not? I mean, if you're like a Travis Jagerlein or a Peter Edwards running in 11th or 12th right now at the tail end of the lead lap, why not?
Here's what happens. You come in now. I'm going to play this out for you. Peter Edwards, get in. Jagerleiner, get in this time. Fill it up. Keep it out as long as you can and hope for one of those late race cautions that happen like at lap 5. I'd give it a go.
Well, I guess we'll have to
They're
wait
not listening
and see.
to me. This is just like me watching a race at home, yelling at this TV screen.
Oh, that's me when the basketball coach in me starts coming out watching basketball games on TV. My wife gets mad at me all the time. But that's either here nor there. Lights are off on that Mustang pace car as it heads down the backstretch. We are getting ready to go back to green. Chris Lanini, of course, we were talking. He was probably one guy that did not want to see a yellow, so look for him to try to get another big jump here out of the gate, Sue.
Here's the deal. The top 5 cars have been out there for a long time. Lanini, Wardlow, Taylor, Micas have all been out there, and Hazard.
And of course,
Jake Wright came in and topped off.
And there's that jump. Chris Lanini getting a really good run here as they fly off into turn 1. Dustin Wardlow behind him. Patrick Taylor bringing it up into 3rd position. He started this race in 22nd position. Of course, Dustin Wardlow started in 21st. So the top 3 guys, 2 of them started in the 20s. And of course, behind them is Bob Micas. Bob Micas doing his best to try to get around that petty blue Patrick Taylor machine, but just cannot get the job done just yet on the inside. He's going to have to try to set him up for that pass. Of course, Bob Micas was very strong early on. Look for that to try to continue, but they do not want to let Chris Lanini get too far ahead of this field.
Jake Wright in 6th position, working his way around Mercer. Mercer, the last of the drivers. No, let me correct myself. Mercer is on this pit strategy as well. The top 5 drivers have been out for about, the less of them, Lanini, for about 30 laps. Everybody else came in and topped off a little earlier than I would have liked. I would have preferred a last lap top off right now. Wright gets up to 6th position. Mercer, now Mercer being challenged by Drew Motz. Behind them, Bolster and Galvin. Look at this battle of Bolster and Galvin, and then back behind them is a battle going on. This is Joe Brandt still in the mix, racing in there just for fun, in there with Travis Jagerleiner.
I don't know if Jagerleiner's thinking it's all that much fun at this point, but I think Joe Branch is having a blast for sure. One thing, is that almost a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between Bolster and Galvin? Yeah, I think that was about as close as you can get from locking wheels there and somebody going for a wild ride. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Both those guys definitely very strong. Of course, Jason Galvin sitting 4th in points going into today. Hey, one thing I'm noticing up front, Chris Lanini, not able to get as much of a good of a start as what he did before. He's got Dustin Wardlow. Dustin had actually fallen off to about 0.7 of a second there just a few laps ago, but is gaining right now on your leader, Dustin Wardlow, now about 0.4 of a second back. And that's a battle that could be heating back up here pretty quick, and we've already seen how tough Dustin Wardlow is to get around. So if you can imagine what it'll be like if he's able to get up front and everybody's got to try to pass him.
Well, the question on all the fans' minds is, can Wardlow get around Lanini? And Wardlow thinks the Candyman can, as he's back there only 3 seconds back, making a run now on Lanini. You're right. Lanini had a fairly good jump, not as good as before. But Wardlow able to gobble him up, and now, again, he's got there, but can he get the job done?
Yeah, these guys trying to put some distance between themselves and that other group of cars that came in to try to top off late in that last yellow there, but not on the last lap. They didn't listen to Soup, so we'll have to see if they have enough fuel here to try to at least get close to the finish. But you can see on your screen that last lap, Chris Lanini was a little bit faster. We're going to go back. Travis Jagerliner and Scott Bolster, that battle heating back up again with Travis Jagerliner on the inside of Scott Bolster. Them coming close again, and let's see, who is that behind them? That's Peter Edwards
Johnson.
back.
And then Scott Johnson on the inside just got around Edwards, but he lost all the momentum. Edwards gets a run on the outside. Here he comes. He's now looking if he can get around that 44 machine of Jagerliner. They go side by side, going into 3.
Of course, Scott Johnson right now running a lap down, so only those 3 cars that are actually racing for position on the racetrack. But what Scott Johnson is trying to do is try to get around them to get some cars between him and the next car a lap down. That would be Samuel Raymond. So he's trying to secure his lead as far as the cars that are a lap down, at least at this point.
Pass for 7th now here, making the move on the inside. This is Motts. Gets on the inside of Mercer. Give him that spot. Mercer trying to do a little dipsy-do over and under. My goodness. They're trying to make that car as wide as he can. Mott's out there trying to be as wide as a Julia Roberts smile, I like to say, holding Mercer back.
I can only think of what movie.
Oh, Julia Roberts. You start with Pretty Woman. It's all good from there.
Meanwhile, back up front, that battle once again between Chris Lanini and Dustin Wardlow. Dustin Wardlow's continuing to inch ever closer to your leader, Chris Lanini. Now that one gap is once again closed down to about a little bit over 0.3 of a second. Now down to about 0.2 of a second. Really trying to use that draft on the straights. And I'm noticing an actual significant difference in their lines, Soup. Chris Lanini trying to hold it down a little bit more down low through 1 and 2, where Dustin Wardlow is running a little bit higher, and it's almost the same thing through 3 and 4 as well. So is he already thinking about how he's going to get around him? Is he trying to show him? And our director able to, has those headphones on, those big headphones that directors wear, and he was able to tell that Dustin Wardlow is actually lifting just a little bit on the straights as well in that draft. So maybe a little bit of fuel saving going on top of everything. Maybe that's why he's not being super aggressive here, Soup.
Maybe he's got the calculator figured out. The more fuel he saves now, the less he has to take when they come in for what will basically be a splash and go. And maybe Lanini's splash is going to have to be a little more splashy than Wardlow's is as he saves fuel back there. They'll be coming in probably in the next 10 to 15 laps. I can be more precise than that. 13 laps from now. Expect these guys in on lap 114 with 30 to go.
Yeah, as you're looking there, another battle. These guys have fought a couple times today. Jason Galvin and Scott Bolster back there running side by side. Jason Galvin on the outside is going to be able to carry a little bit more momentum going into 1, but Scott Bolster is going to continue to try to make his presence known, continuing on the inside of that, but Jason Galvin still continuing on with a little bit more momentum on the outside. And of course, as I say that, Scott Bolster is able to get around him, and then Jason Galvin's going to try to come back on the inside. A little bit of a slide job job there. Almost turned in Darrell Waltrip there saying slide job on an oval race, but Scott Bolster is able to get around Jason Galvin there and take that 9th position. So, Jason Galvin's able to get back to 9th, 10th. So we tried to do it earlier on. Let's go ahead and try again here real quick before we get any closer to the end of the race. Let's go ahead and run through the field, at least your lead lap cars here real quick. Of course, up front, Chris Lanini running up front, but he still has Dustin Wardlow right behind him, inching ever closer. Of course, now right up under his rear wing, Dustin Wardlow started this race in 21st position, and he's up here fighting for the lead. Another guy that started real far back on the field, that would be your third place runner, Patrick Taylor. In fact, Patrick Taylor and Dustin Wardlow started this race side by side with each other, and now they're running in 2nd and 3rd positions respectively. So a very good run today by Patrick Taylor. Bob Mikas back there in 4th. Bob Mikas has been up in the top 5 pretty much all day long, and that course continues. Joe Hassert running in 5th position. Joe Hassert having a decent run here. He's run into trouble a couple times this season. Thankfully, that has not found him here for today. Hopefully, I didn't put any kind of curse on him there, but we'll keep an eye on Big Joe Hassert. He's going to try to make some moves here toward the end of this thing. Jake Wright is back there as well. Jake Wright hoping to come away with the points lead here for today at the end of this thing, and I do believe running in 6th position that he would indeed pass Ryan Otis for the points lead at the end of this race. He's up 8 positions from where he started. We're currently running in 6th. 7th position is going to belong to Drew Motz. Drew Motz up 10 positions from where he started, that Illinois driver. He is having a good run today in that blue Red Bull machine. Matthew Mercer has been involved in a couple of battles as well. He is running right where he started in 8th position. Right behind him, not on the lead lap, is that car that you see there. That would be Joe Branch. But on the lead lap behind him, you'll find Jason Galvin. Jason Galvin also running right where he started here for today in 9th position. He kind of got trapped back there in the field a little bit, lost a little bit of ground, but he's just hoping to bring her home at this point. Scott Bolster is currently running in 10th position. He is down actually 7 positions, but of course he did have that little bit of a half spin to bring out one of those yellows a little while ago and help mix up the field order just a little bit, but he is hanging on to a top 10 spot, at least at this point. 11th position is going to belong to Peter Edwins. Peter Edwins has spent a little bit of time up front here for today, and even running in 11th, he's 18 positions up from where he started for today. So good run from Peter Edwins. And to round out your cars on the lead lap, about 15 seconds off the leader, you'll find Travis Jagerliner. We've talked about him a few times as well, and he's also up 12 positions from where he started. So it seems like a good chunk of the top 12 is up from where they started, and after some early troubles. And just as I get done talking about it, that battle for the lead was heating up just for a split second, but I'm really starting to believe more and more that Dustin Wardlow is just kind of riding behind Chris Lanini at this point.
Yeah, Dustin could have made a couple times, got me all excited, got me tuned into it. He's backing out. He'll be coming in the next 3 or 4 laps. Remember, Jake Wright is going to be the guy. He's going to be your leader when the top 5 have to come in, and he will be your leader for quite a while, as he's got about, oh my goodness, about 27 laps on these guys. So I think he's still going to be about 5 laps short. He's going to need a yellow, and he's going to need it to come at the right time. Wright, Motz, Mercer, Galvin, and Bolster will be your top 5 in the next couple laps.
Yeah, and at this point, looking at how Jake Wright's been driving, his lap times and everything else, he is definitely not doing any kind of fuel saving. I think he's figured out that any kind of fuel saving for him might be all for naught. It would just be a lot of time wasted. So he's definitely kept the pedal on the floor and is moving right along. The guy that I think is trying to do the most fuel saving right now is Dustin Wardlow. And as you mentioned, Soup, the reason why being that might just to spend a little bit less time on pit road. Either way, these guys are going to be very much in danger of losing a lap once they do come down pit road. It might be a little bit on the close side, but Soup.
It's a lot easier to milk that chicken in pit lane than it is out on the track, and I think that's what's going to happen right now. In fact, if I was Wardlow, I'd just sit back here, I'd follow Lanini in. When Lanini comes, I come as well, and figure it out and just take just a little bit less. Of course, be interesting to see if Lanini is going to pit. Lanini will be pitting well ahead of Wardlow. That's too bad. If Wardlow had him into the rearview mirrors, at least he could kind of see what he was doing. I guess he can see what he's doing in the front, so it doesn't make much sense.
Well, the bottom line, though, is that's going to come down to who has the better calculators.
Yeah, I think so.
Who's going to be the one that knows the exact amount of fuel to put in this car to try to get it the rest of the way? And then what else happens the rest of this race? I mean, I believe we got it still about, I could be wrong, but I think about 19 cars still on track. And amongst those 19 cars, I think you've got about 6 that could potentially win this race based on what the pit strategy that could potentially develop here over the next couple of laps. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. Of course, we're about 28 laps here from the end of the race. Things are heating up. The pit crews are getting ready out there on pit road. We're just waiting right now to see when your top 2 cars peel off.
See, and what this gives me, though, I'm looking at Lanini. This is a 57-lap run for Lanini right now. And there was a yellow flag involved in that one as well. If I take 57 and add it to the laps to go, I think Wright has a real chance of getting there. This is going to be, Lanini's got to be coming in soon.
Yeah, Joe Hassert just announced that he's going to be coming down pit road. Dustin Wardlow, I think, is planning on Chris Lanini, and Chris Lanini's just announcing that he's coming down pit road here this time by. But I think Dustin Wardlow was giving him enough room, thinking that he might come down unannounced there just a second ago. Over the last couple laps, Patrick Taylor has actually been able to gain on these guys, so I think they started doing a little bit more fuel saving as well. In fact, here comes Chris Lanini. Dustin Wardlow is going to stay out. He's going to try to take advantage of some of that draft that he was using. Patrick Taylor, oh wow, almost dangerous move there. Bob Mikas coming right down with Patrick Taylor. That almost got very, very hairy as Bob Mikas came down really hot. We'll take a look here on the replay. Following along Patrick Taylor, and you're going to see a Bob Mikas driven vehicle come out of almost nowhere. You see him getting a little bit loose there coming down, but it gets it woed up. And then, wow, that was close.
Okay. Lanini is in his pits. Wardlow went a lap longer. Lanini is coming out on the track right now. Wardlow has yet to get to his box. Lanini is on the back straight right now. Wardlow in his box. Wardlow rolling. Where is Lanini? We're looking at Lanini. There he is on the front straight. Wardlow just coming out on the track. This is going to be close. Wardlow's got to get that car revved up. Lanini has the momentum. Lanini gets him.
So what it looks like probably going to happen here is they end up just about, Dustin Wardlow got some sort of penalty. He's coming back in. A tough break for Dustin Wardlow.
So that's going to move Patrick Taylor now up to second place of the cars we know that can go the distance.
Actually, Bob Mikas was able to get around Patrick Taylor here.
Yeah, let's move Mikas now up. We're going to call this the second group. Move him up into second. Lanini in first, Mikas in second, Taylor in third, assuming that those guys, that Wright and the rest of these guys can't go the distance. I'm not sure if that's the case, though. No, Wardlow went 30 laps. Or, I'm sorry, Wardlow went 60 laps. 60.
And that's with a caution.
That's with a caution. Right now, Jake Wright is on a 39, let's call it 40 laps. He's got 21 to go. We know that Wardlow went 60. That means he's going to be 1 lap short. He needs a caution.
All right, but meanwhile, while that's going on, Jason Galvin, Scott Bolster, fuel saving. You want to talk about fuel saving? Nah, these guys aren't doing any of that. They are going at it hard still. These guys, this has been one of those races where those two gentlemen continue to find each other. And I think it's about maybe the 6th or 7th time I've seen them running side by side, Sue.
Dustin Wardlow behind them. He's a lap down. You're going to see Dustin blowing by these guys in a minute. Jason Galvin right now, as you're watching, that's the car in the middle. My pick for the win. Jason, I know how they don't like to race this way from Bakersfield, but right now you need to tuck in behind Bolster and just follow him around. You need to save fuel, my friend.
Well, wasn't Bakersfield one of the so-called birthplaces of drag racing?
home of the Mears boys, and I think Kevin Harvick from Bakersfield. Might be from maybe Galvin can help me. I think it's Oilsville is actually the name of the town that they're from. Good name for racing cars.
Well, I was hoping you'd say something about the drag racing park, because I was just saying, just picture New Hampshire as 2 drag strips.
It is.
Little corners. But go ahead.
No parachutes here, though.
Right.
Wright, Mercer, Bolster, Galvin, Edwins, your top 5.
Yeah, right now with that 3.33 second lead, and just looking at his lap times, there's been no hint of fuel saving out there, other than the fact that I'm hearing him very gentle on and off the throttle, but I think that's just kind of helping him be a little bit more consistent, at least at this point. But what you are watching is Matthew Mercer about 0.3 of a second faster. That might be some of that kind of gentle on-off motion on the throttle is related because of that. But the question becomes then, if Jake Wright's not able to make it the rest of the way, and Matthew Mercer, maybe by some miracle will Matthew Mercer have enough time to catch him? I mean, excuse me, if they're both able to make it the rest of the way.
Of the 6 cars that are leading Lanini, who we know can go the distance, who's going to have the best chance of going the distance? Well, it would be the slowest of those 6 cars. Let's take a look at Travis Jagerliner right now. Running in 6th position. Just sitting back there, easing it around. Right now, he's just trying to save fuel. All he needs to do is stay ahead of Lanini, which is going to be hard to do because Lanini's a-coming.
Yeah, Lanini right now about 2.5 seconds behind Jagerliner. That would be another one of those, is there enough time kind of things.
So look, Jagerliner back there saving fuel. Here comes Lanini. Now, if we look at Lanini, he's got some cars. He's got Blumenthal to negotiate and Bluen. As far as all as Chris Lanini knows, he's still leading this race because he figures the guys in front are going to have to come in.
Well, either way, all our answers are going to be coming very, very quickly and soon.
13
Only about
laps.
13 laps left in this race. These laps are clicking down fast. Kind of like Jake Wright's lead right now, clicking down fast, now down to about 2.7 seconds on Matthew Mercer.
Crackers isn't here, so I'm going to say it for him. It's time to boogie. Let's get this party started.
Well, party's probably going to be on pit road here before too long with some of these cars that can't make it. Do you try to drag it out as long as you possibly can, Sue? Or do you come in and get that splash and go sooner rather than later?
I think some of these guys, I think Galvin knows what's going on. Galvin's done the math as he's given up that position to Peter Edwins.
Yeah, he's not even trying at this point.
Nope. I'm going to say it again. Galvin, he's gone 49 laps.
Ooh, right there. He's running almost a second slower than everybody else around him. So yeah, it might be a little bit too little too late on that part, but he's definitely figured that he might have something.
He's watching 2 things. He's watching the lap counter, and he's watching Chris Lanini. Lanini is behind him by about 2 seconds, so Galvin can't slow down too much or it all becomes kind of moot. I mean, if you can get there without stopping, but you still get passed by Lanini. Lanini is on a hunt right now. What these guys need is a yellow.
We're getting close to that point where a yellow flag might end this race. So, I would think right now if you're Jake Wright, you're hoping for a yellow. And you've got to hope for that yellow before Matthew Mercer gets there, because that lead continuing to click down, already down a second from the last time we mentioned it, down to about 1.7 seconds. Right now on your screen, pretty tight battle between Lanini and Jagerliner. Jagerliner kind of in that kind of... Willie or won't he kind of mode there, but one guy that is definitely not playing those games is Chris Lanini, and another guy is Bob Mikas. They got the pedal to the wall right now.
Now Galvin just trying to make the best of the situation as Lanini is about to gobble him up. Right now it's cowards, ribbons around old oak trees, and rivers in China. A lot of people out there thinking yellow.
Probably no more so than Jake Wright. That lead now down another half second to Matthew Mercer. That lead now 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, it's how fast can I go and finish, or how slow can I go and stand for the guy behind me?
Oh, Matthew Mercer might be there very, very soon. Maybe this lap. We need to go up front. That lead now down to about 3 tenths. Jake Wright's just letting him go. There goes Matthew Mercer. And you're going to see Joe Branch getting around him here, too.
Branch a lap down. That's Wright saying, good, go ahead. I'll pass you while you're in pit lane because I'm not coming in.
And that might be smart because you got another 9.7 seconds to go all the way back to Scott Bolster at this point here.
Here's the deal. If you know you can't make it, there's no reason to save fuel. Go out there, and I think what Mercer has done said, I can't get there, so I'm just going to run it, come in. There's no reason to save fuel if you can't get there. So Wright clearly thinks he's going to try to nurse this.
I don't believe that Jake Wright right now is running half throttle going down these straightaways right now. So he is definitely shifted all the way down in fuel saving mode.
Mercer's lap was 25.8. Wright was a 27.8, a 28.3 that time. Wright well off the speed. He's got to keep an eye though on Lanini. Lanini is out there looking at his time, a 25. Yeah, Lanini's getting about 3 seconds a lap. Wright's got about 9 seconds. Too much math for me to figure out. Okay, here comes Mercer. Wright inherits the lead again. Wright is really nursing it. Unfortunately, this is playing into the hands of Lanini.
Yeah, got to think. In fact, here comes the
spinner. We got a spinner. We're going to have a yellow.
Yellow's out.
Drew Motz might have got into it with Scott Johnson. That could be it, and that's going to be it. With 3 to go, now it's a question: can Jake Wright nurse the car home? We're going to watch this on replay. This is the time of yellow that Jake needed.
Looks like he just kind of got up in the wall. Scott Johnson nowhere to go, and just pegs him. So now the question becomes the drama, folks. Even though we are under yellow, the drama is not over. Can Jake Wright nurse this thing around under yellow to make it the rest of the way? Did he save enough fuel to make it?
If you look at Wright, a few seconds ago, he actually didn't want to lose momentum to blow up behind the pace car. He actually let the car roll ahead of the pace car, so he didn't lose any momentum at all.
He's keeping it off the banking. That's something that sometimes you'll see drivers do on oval tracks, especially with bankings. You keep it on the flat part when you're trying to save a little bit of fuel, and also taking the shorter way around.
He is on lap 59 on this stint. He's gonna have to go. This is the white flag.
It's like every time right now, like I'm following Jake, and I see Scott like catch him like really quick. I'm like, did Jake run out of fuel, or did Scott just pedal it? That's making me nervous.
Well, they're all in that right in fifth gear, right? Or actually, probably that'd be like sixth gear, I guess. Bolster and Edwin's all in the same situation. The only guy we know can get there is Lanini. How about poor Mercer? He just came in and that yellow flag came out. He might have stayed out if he knew the yellow flag was going to roll. All right, Adam, you get to call the final 2 corners.
Wow. We're just hoping Jake's going to make it at this point. If he's able to make it, this will be his first win of the season, and that would also put all your top 4 drivers in the point standings having wins. It looks like he is going to be able to make it. Here comes Jake Wright, just crawling along at the beautiful speed of 52 miles an hour, comes across the line. The question is answered. He had enough fuel to make it. Congratulations to Jake Wright. Scott Bolster coming home in 3rd. Edwin's in 3rd. Lanini hoping for something to happen. He did not want to see that yellow. Comes home in 4th. And Jason Galvin's going to round out your top 5. Tell you what, Soup, we're going to go ahead and take that break here. And when we come back, we'll run down your finishing order and talk to a few drivers. Well, that was an exciting finish. Although I'm not quite sure it was the exciting finish we were all thinking, but definitely an exciting finish with Jake Wright coming home your victor here for today, coasting across the line, even under yellow, wondering if he was going to be able to make it all the way on fuel. But that one-plated car brings it home in P1 here for today for his first win of the season, and assuredly taking the points lead here for today with the absence of Ryan Otis. So second place is going to belong to Scott Bolster. Peter Edwins coming home in third. Fourth place, Chris Lanini. Fifth place, Jason Galvin. Bob Mikas coming home in sixth. Seventh place, Travis Taylor. Eighth place is going to belong to Travis Jaegerliner and Joe Hasser coming home in ninth. Matthew Mercer in 10th position. Soup, one thing I'm seeing is a lot of drivers that started in the back of this field up front toward the end.
I'm not sure if Mercer is kicking himself or not. Remember, he was the guy who went by Wright, decided I can't get there, pitted right before the yellow came out. Maybe he might have been able to nurse it if he knew that the last 3 laps were going to be under caution. 11th position goes to Samuel Ryman, 12th to Robert Bluen, followed by Joe Branch and Dustin Wardlow. Oh, Dustin had his share of running up front, but he's going to finish way back there. 15th position, Scott Johnson. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 spot is Drew Mott. 17th and 18th, Vincent Blumenthal and Michael Goodman. Goodman was fast too, had trouble early. And then in the 19th position, it is Chris Stouffer, and then well back, 64 laps back, Brian Greenlee. Adam?
Yeah, we're all in the guys now that got into trouble very early on in the race. So Tony Schuin, who of course went into the race having ran the most laps here so far this season. He won't hold on to that title for the next race at Long Beach. David Altman in 22nd position, Pierre Daigle in 23rd, Frank Beezer in 24th position. A couple of guys are involved in that first caution. Ed Tutwiler 25th, 26th, Roy Collins, Mitchell Moeller in 27th, George Zaldo 28th, and James Paulson in 29th position, and those are all the cars that took the grid. But of course, it came down to fuel mileage at the end of this one, and I believe Soup is caught up with your winner, Jake Wright.
Jake, congratulations on the win, your first of the season. I got 2 questions for you. If the yellow didn't come, 1, were you going to make it? And if the answer is yes, were you going to get there before Lanini?
The answer to both of those questions is no. I'm still kind of confused on how any of that worked. That was an extremely lucky race for me, because that wasn't the first time I had almost run out of fuel. That first pit stop, I was distracted and almost didn't come down pit road when I needed to, but ended up getting lucky with the caution coming out right then.
Well, yeah, that's the same story we heard from Joe Branch, who was leading the way, your pole sitter. He got caught out and ran out of fuel. So you weren't going to make it. You saw Mercer go by. I guess you said, when did you realize you weren't going to? Were you going to? Well, let me ask you this: were you going to try to get there?
That was the goal. When Drew Mott's pit after second, I saw the gap between me and Matthew Mercer, and that's when I decided, or I could tell he wasn't saving fuel, so I thought, well, maybe I can save fuel and maybe make it to the end. So when Drew pit, that was when I just decided I was going for it, and if I had to pit, I had to pit. I had nothing to lose at that point. Just
Matt,
100%.
There's nothing that upsets us slow drivers worse than watching a fast driver also be smart and win on strategy. It's just not fair to be fast and to win one like this. It's really, I'm not going to sleep well tonight. I'm happy for you, but man, come on, you don't need to be good, fast and lucky too.
Yeah, I'm still in shock. I have no idea how that happened, and I was struggling with speed. Chris Lanini, when he had the lead on after that first or second caution, whenever we got lucky, he was just pulling away from me, so I didn't have the speed I was hoping, so all I could hope for tonight was strategy.
Well, it paid out for you. You got your first win of the season. Going to move you up in the points. Congratulations, and we'll see you down the road, both in this series and in the Lionheart IndyCar Series as well.
Thank you. See you in a few weeks.
Jake Wright, your winner today, Adam.
Yeah, and a fantastic run for Jake Wright, but of course another guy that had a little bit of a problem in the middle part of the race and was able to overcome it to come home second. Scott Bolster. Scott, I'm going to ask you the same question that Soup asked Jake just a second ago. Would you have made it on fuel had it gone green the rest of the way?
100%. There was a 10% chance that I was going to make it.
I'm sitting here trying to run through the math in my like. Wait, no, that doesn't add up. Oh, that, but that ended up being a little bit exciting there. Of course, with that, at what point did you realize that you might not make that the ending though?
With about 20 to go, the fuel estimator said I had 22 laps available in fuel, and we know that isn't exactly accurate. So it got down to the point where, with 0.2 left in the tank is when the engine would stall. So anytime that I would get 0.2 above where I was at, I started to have to actually clutch going into the corners and things like that. So I was trying to balance that between keeping P3 behind me. It was pretty high pucker factor at that point.
Well, and of course, you ended up, I think you and Jason Galvin just managed to find each other quite a bit, especially in the second half of the race. What was it like running side by side with him tonight?
It was a lot of fun. With this race tonight, we got strung out quite a bit, and then after the caution, which ironically I actually brought out, we got a little more side-by-side racing, and it's so much fun racing with these guys who that you can drive it into the corner as hard as you possibly can, and that guy that you're going side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel with is going to be able to race you clean and hard, and that's what makes this series a lot of fun.
Well, Scott, congratulations on being able to bring it home here in second. Of course, that Skull Machine looking good out there. Anybody like to thank here real quick?
Pretty much. I would very much like to thank George Anzaldo and all of his team that really makes Lionheart one of the most fun and rewarding leagues that I've ever been affiliated with. So if there's a one group of people that come to mind that really deserve all the thanks in the world, it's those guys, because this league really is head and shoulders above anything else that I've seen.
All right, well, good job on second place and able to bring it home on field tonight, Scott Bolster, ladies and gentlemen. And I do believe that Soup is going to try to catch up here with Peter Edwins here. Of course, Peter Edwins, excuse me, sorry, what's going on, Soup?
Peter Edwins here, if we can bring him down in here. There we go. Up, we're trying to get lean a little help here, boys.
We'll just say it's a mic error. How's that?
All right, we got everybody in here. I don't want to talk to Lanini because he's going to be upset. So he'll just have to listen. Keep it quiet, Chris. Here, I'll talk to Peter though. Peter, I don't know if you were going to get there or not, but if you were going to get there, these three guys, Wright, Bolster, and you weren't going to get there before Lanini because he was coming. Did you have enough to get to the end?
I did. My Z1 dashboard said I had enough to make it.
When how much now? You went about 60 on a fuel stint. There was a little bit of yellow there when you came in. When you made that stop originally, you said, "Okay, I can do this." Did you have to nurse it a lot?
I had started laying off a little bit. I saw that I had a big lead over the next car behind me, so I was taking it easier through the corners just to try to give myself a little extra fuel.
Well, you got to be happy for third. I'm going to check the stats here and see that. Is that your best finish so far this season?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
I actually blew my engine in qualifying, so I started 29th.
That's why it was. Yeah, the qualifying was interesting. There were a lot of guys were mixed up in there. I want to talk to you about just the fuel strategy in general. Some guys were caught out. Jape was talking about being surprised, and Joe Hassard actually run out of fuel while he was leading. Was it just a matter of concentration, or you didn't have any problems, did you?
I didn't. My two pits were under yellow caution, and I had enough to, just keep going. I got lucky with the yellow flag because my second pit, I only had about 4 laps left, and then the yellow came out.
Well, doesn't matter how you get there. It pays the same. Congratulations on that podium today, third place. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Peter Edwins, our third place finisher today, and now we're gonna try to talk with Chris Lanini.
Hello.
There he is, Adam. Go ahead, you got Chris.
Yeah, Chris, fantastic job here, coming home in fourth. We were wondering, what would have happened if those guys were in front of you. I bet you did not want to see that yellow right there at the end.
Well, it was kind of a toss-up because I figured unless all 3 of the people in front of me ran out of gas, I was I wanted a podium, but I wanted to win. But when I came out of the pits, I thought I was set, and then I saw I was in 7th, so I got kind of curious, and then I realized people were probably doing fuel strategy, so the caution at the end wasn't actually that big.
Well, it's still got to be tough though, especially having the kind of day that you had. Starting in 6th, ultimately finishing in 4th, but running some laps up front. Now there was one restart. They believe it was probably the 2nd or 3rd restart. The first one that you found yourself up front, you got a really good jump on the field. Was that at the point where you really didn't want to see yellow when you were up in front of the field by about 3 or 4 seconds?
I had a 3.5 second lead on Jake Wright of all people. I really didn't want to see a caution.
I understand that. Well, hey, good job on being able to finish here for tonight. I know it was kind of one of those tough ones between fuel mileage and also a little bit of a few accidents out there, but you were able to rise above all of it and actually stay in front of a lot of it. Anybody you'd like to thank here real quick?
Yeah, since she's actually watching this time, I'd like to thank my girlfriend for watching and supporting me, and just Lionheart in general, because they have a really good league. This race could have been a mess, but the drivers are actually quite good. It's really fun to race with them on a weekly basis.
All right. Well, hey, good job, Chris, and hope to see you here in a few weeks.
Cool, thank you.
Chris, before you go, what's your girlfriend's name?
Anne. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned
Right,
that.
there we go. No,
Hi, Anne.
All right, we'll make sure to get her in a couple broadcasts coming up. Good job, Chris.
Cool, thank you.
Chris Lanini, finishing 4th here today. And I'm going to need a little help here as we're going to talk to Dustin Wardlow. We're going to let somebody else kick Chris out of the booth. Hey, Dustin, the GSRC guys aren't above payola. When you send me some candy in the mail, you can buy yourself an interview. Sorry it didn't work out so well for you today as you came on. What'd you do? You're well down there. 14th, yikes.
Yeah. I should have been on the same deal as Chris. And it didn't pan out for me. I ended up getting a speeding penalty in the pits and kind of blew my chances. Yeah, but the car felt so good at the end. I was really reluctant to pass, the guys that were on the lead lap racing in the top 5, but I wanted to try to catch the next car in line, and had a shot before the yellow came out.
Well, yeah, we watched the whole time. In fact, you were beginning to bother me a little bit because it came clear after a while you were not going to go around Lanini until the pit stops were made.
Yeah, we had kind of planned it out that way. We just, it was better safe than sorry, and if we're racing each other, then we're letting people close the gap, even though Patrick was running 3rd, right? So we had all of our Dragonfly guys were doing a bang-up job and communicating really well, too. It's a great team. They're a bunch of good guys.
So what'd you do wrong in pit lane?
I went about 3 miles an hour faster than Mom wanted, so I kind of got hurt myself again. But I better luck next week, I guess.
Congratulations, and we'd like to thank you for GSRC for the wonderful candy. Let me tell you, guys, some Dwar's candy. It came to my house. This is like if you like an Abba Zaba bar. This is like Abba Zaba bars if they were really good. Oh man, the peanut butter taffy candy was good stuff.
Right, the peanut butter is the best. Yeah, it's kind of crunchy, but not. It's so soft and chewy. It's That's why they've been around 100 years. It's just amazing.
Joe liked the caramel. Each one of us had our favorite. I think Sam Ryman liked the spearmint there. The kind of, what's that? The spearmint? Is that what it was? The kind of peppermint. Yeah, the peppermint stuff. Those are good too. We thank you about it. Hey, if you want a good gift, Dwar's Candy. Dwar's, what is it? Dwar's.com? Is that what it is, Dustin?
DwarsCandy.com. That's correct.
DwarsCandy.com. Okay. Hey, good luck to you. We'll see you down in the IndyCar series next time.
Thanks, Soup. Thanks the rest of you too, man. You guys keep hitting it out of the park.
All right, there you go.
Whew. Well, what an exciting broadcast. Soup, before we close it up, you got any final thoughts?
I'm just happy we were on top of it as a team. We knew the strategy there, and they were able to get it around. It was a fun race. Chris Lanini had to be upset when the yellow came out. Jake Wright had to be happy when the yellow came out.
Well, that's I would definitely say so. And of course, it's not often that you have a fuel mileage race that ends under yellow. That's still exciting, and I think that was the big takeaway for tonight. Is Jake Wright? It will take over your points lead after this evening. So, with that, of course, one big thanks, one final mention to the onboard sponsor here for tonight was the Apex Infotech IndyCar Elite Series. Of course, they got their big Indy 500 coming up here in a few weeks. Also, want to thank our organizer for for tonight's race. That was Lionheart. You can find them at lionheartracingseries.com. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast that you can see listed on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, whose music you can also find at the websites listed. I also want to thank to the team today, their Soup, Joe, Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at theglobalsimracingchannel.com. There you can find all the archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSRC Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Now, the next race is going to be Thursday, May 11th at Long Beach for 100 miles. It's the 9:35 Eastern, 10:35 Eastern. That won't be broadcasted since Long Beach is a tech track on iRacing service. So follow LionheartRacingSeries.com for details on that race. Our next race will be the second Triple Crown of the year, and probably these guys' biggest race of the year, the Indianapolis 250 miler on June 1st, and that will be a double points race. So I Notice has a chance to possibly gain a little bit of ground back on Jake Wright after today. We also have upcoming races for other series on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.